Well, golly gee willikers, slap me silly and call me Vasco da Gama. It is episode 123 of the podcast. The boys are here. We're going to talk about the way they look because they look good. This is my favorite part of the week. Let's be honest. No shade on Mrs. Ball Game and Baby Ball Game and Biddy Ball Game. I love them, and that's just a separate bucket. But this is, I feel like the podcast is where it's the only place that middle-aged men can have deep conversations. If you want to have a great conversation with another man, then you got to start a podcast, and that's what we're doing here. And I'd say most of you listeners are moms and dads of youth sports. Thank you for tuning in each week. We want to first our loyal Patreons. We want to give you attaboys and attagirls for sticking with us through it all. And then if this is maybe your first listen, welcome. We're here to solve problems, answer your questions. We've got questions from some youth parents that we're going to hit today. And oh my Lanta, we've got a guest, a special guest. I'll give him a formal introduction in a little bit, but the guest is none other than, I think, the best hitting pitcher of all time, Mike Hampton. Snaps, everybody, for our guest. He's going to join us a little bit later on. But let's start. Top left for me. This is Coach Chop. We had a discussion last week about beards, and I'm growing mine back out because Mrs. Ballgame, that's her vibe. She wants a little scruff. If you're watching on the YouTube, which you should, that way you can see these faces making these sounds. Why did you shave, Chad Chop?
Yeah, turns out if you don't shave for I guess close to a decade, your skin gets a little, I think the term is unhealthy. And so it's getting a little dry. There's a little bit of beard dandruff in there. And the wife said, "Hey, let's go ahead and give it the old reset." So we gave it the reset. We're trying to condition it. And yeah, it looks foreign, but Titus told me this morning I look like I'm 33. So count it.
No doubt about it. It makes you look a good 14 to 17 years younger.
Yeah.
Never heard the term beard dandruff.
Well,
I've heard
stick
of
with me.
unhealthy beards. If you're making your way down to Coach Flicky's visage, little different vibe. I want to hear all about it. What's the outfit, the look?
So good.
Give it to me, Coach Flicky.
Good morning, coaches. Chopper, you're now going to play Bradley Cooper in the Bradley Cooper story. That's how handsome your visage is right now. Coaches, well, I think this is from Seattle, Washington. I am so stoked for our guest today that I went with a vibe. And Mike Hampton, I mean, I can't even tell you, I'm a deep Astros fan. It goes back to when I started collecting cards in 1982. And Mike Hampton like resurrected hope for an entire franchise in the mid 90s, along with a couple guys named Craig Biggio, Jeff Bagwell, Derek Bell, the Killer Bees.
Lance Berkman.
Yeah, Lance Berkman, come on, from Rice University, switch hitting monster. So I have so much love for Mike Hampton, coach. What I did was I thought maybe if I wear the Nuke Squads, shout out to Nuke Squads, sponsor, and that if I went Nuke Squads and like sleeveless shirt, because I know Mike Hampton's from Florida, that this is kind of like a red carpet look in certain parts of Florida. So I was hoping I could really, do you think he'll think I'm cool?
Yeah, he's going to think you're more than cool, and his nickname for you is going to be Florida Tuxedo. For sure. Guys, it's great to see you. Coach Flicky, I'm going to see you in 9 days. Maybe it's 8 days. I fly into Spokane. We've got a little cottage we're staying in, maybe 9 holes of golf, a nice meal, and then we're going to change some lives in Spokane. If you haven't signed up, you're in that area, go do the thing. There's still spots available there in Liberty Lake before we go to Wenatchee. And we hang out with Coach Special Relationship and the crew there. And then a late night drive across the great state. Maybe stop at an apple orchard about 2 a.m., get some applesauce, because we've got a Saturday morning Sandlot in Snohomish before a Saturday evening in Seattle. So four Sandlots in 3 days next weekend. Fired up. The Sandlot Tour is ready to go. So I want you all to tell all your friends. I'll be coming to a town near you. So let it rip and let's change lives for the better. These Sandlot Tours, yes, 3 hour camp for kids, but it's way more for the parents. Coaches, learn, watch, soak it in, and then attend the coaches' conversation after each Sandlot where we unpack the camp and we talk about all things youth sports and how to make it better. Speaking of the shout out of the day, we're going to have her on the pod in about 3 weeks. How about an atta girl for Linda Flanagan? We have a phone call set up, and she's going to be on our pod discussing Take Back the Game. I think some of you have probably read this book. I'm right in the middle of it, and I'm loving it. Holy macaroni grill! Take Back the Game: How Money and Mania Are Ruining Kids' Sports and Why It Matters. And just a quick excerpt. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Excerpt from the book. I recalled how my parents had engaged with my four siblings and me when I was growing up. While they had encouraged our athletic pursuits, carting us to practice and attending games when they could, they hadn't attached their psyches to our performance. Sound familiar, Coach Chop? Their work, friendships, and other adult responsibilities took precedence. Our games were mindless diversions and an afterthought to their fuller and more complicated lives. But their indifference didn't feel like a deficit of love. Rather, it signaled that my games were my endeavor and that their affection for me, for all my siblings, was independent of what we achieved in sports. That sound right there is the mic drop in book reading terms. Linda Flanagan, go read the book before she comes on and talks about it. But she, a competitive runner for all of her life, and then a parent who coached high school cross country and noticed what we noticed years ago, that it's getting cray cray out there. And she really unpacks it in a very smart way of why. Why are parents um, jumping into this world so hot and heavy? So that'll be fun. That's a tease for a few weeks. Something cool about our guest today is the way we met is he has kids now that are playing youth sports, and I'm noticing this more and more. Those guys that played Major League Baseball who are now in their late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, they got kids now. And he reached out with a question, and I'm going to save it for us. I'm going to let him ask us this question, but I think this is going to be a big part of the pod as we move forward. Is former major leaguers who are now dads trying to figure out how to navigate it. So that's going to be a fun one. We'll have some questions for him as well, and then yes, at the very end, epic trivia contest. Mike Hampton trivia. Next up on the docket, if you're watching, which you should on the YouTube, Coach Ball Games YouTube channel, I'm wearing the red Hawaiian shirt for Magnum PI Day, which happened in Detroit, Michigan. Tom Selleck visited Detroit, and everybody dressed up in mustaches and Magnum PI. I mean, it just when I saw it. Actually, Jake Storiale from John Boy Media texted me. He said, "I think this is happening." I took a look. Players had shaven the beard into mustaches. There were fans all over, dressed just like Magnum, and seeing Tom Selleck in the booth talk. I mean, man, it just invigorated me. He's one of my dad's favorite actors. There's a scene in the movie The Innocent Man. I believe it's a remake uh, of an older film, but when he gets out of prison, there's a moment when he's walking out. He's an innocent man, but he had to serve some time. But when he's walking out of the prison, finally, after his freedom, there's a moment where It's very subtle, but he just gives this subtle fist bump. And that me and my dad are watching that movie. This is 20 years ago, and he goes, "That's acting, son." That is acting right there. It's funny how of all the great sports movies that he's done, that's the one I think of is the innocent man in that moment right there. But I think every son, every father share some sort of Tom Selleck moment. I'd like to get your thoughts, Chad Chop, when you saw that Tom Selleck day in Detroit. Um, Fire away.
It's just it takes you back to like a simpler time for me. Just being a kid, throwing on some Magnum PI, hoping that there'll be some beach scenes for obvious reasons, and
The
it's
short
just
shorts.
yeah, it's just the helicopter, the whole deal, the stash. Obviously, it's Tom Selleck is an absolute national treasure, and so yeah, it was cool. I got to see that a little bit of that interview with him yesterday. I mean, awesome, really good.
Specifically Detroit, he even in the show Blue Bloods, he said in his contract, I got to have a Detroit Tigers hat on my bookshelf in my office. Coach Flick Money, your thoughts on Magnum PI Day? As you know, AJ Hinch very well, college teammate of his, Tom Selleck.
Um, is there anything cooler than a super cool guy driving a super cool Ferrari with a cool British guy called Higgins who helps you orchestrate strategic plans to take down the bad guys? While there's a silent secret boss somewhere that's never seen that runs the whole show. We never see him the entire show. I don't think so. I don't think there is, coach. Also, Tigers are in first place. Go Tigs.
Yeah, they're tough. I got in my backyard last night and turned on A's Tigers. Friend of the pod, Don Harvey, who's in a new show with Jason Bateman and Jude Law on Netflix. Check it out. Don Harvey, great episode, by the way. He's also Swede Risberg in the movie Eight Men Out. He was at the game with his brother, and Scooble was rocking. It was a gem. I actually turned it off and turned on the Bob Uecker ceremony from a couple days ago in Milwaukee, only to find out that Detroit made a few errors and ended up losing the game. Good on you, A's, and good on you, Sacramento A's fans out there. I mean, I want to go watch a game there. Another friend of the pod, Dallas Braden, was on the call. I texted him, and apparently everything was gravy except for one guy who kept singing "Hero" by Enrique Iglesias, and it sounded like what he called a dozen drowning cats the entire night. So, an exuberant fan there in Sacramento, really excited to see Scooble, and just kept singing "Hero" by Enrique all night long. Thank you, Tom Selleck. Thank you, Magnum PI. Last thing before we get to a few topics and our guest of the day, snaps for Mrs. Grace. Grace has come on, and I think of her nickname as Coach Bubbles. Mrs. Ballgame doesn't think so, but she's got great thought bubbles. She's incredibly wise and sharp, and she also has a bubbly personality. She is the one who put out the social media content. She's now uploading the podcasts, and we're doing a little rebrand. There could be a change in the name. Once Flicky came on board, listeners, it went from Talking Shop with Ball Game and Chop to Talking Shop with Ball Game, Flicky, and Chop. It's a bit wordy. It doesn't quite flow off the tongue. We thought, well, let's go Talking Shop. There's already a podcast that's been around a little longer than us called Talking Shop. So DM Coach Ballgame if you have ideas for names. We've got a front runner. We got a leader in the clubhouse that we're gonna keep in our Hawaiian shirt pocket for now. But I think we might just do a little name change. But she's bringing the art and all those great podcasts you see and their social media content and their flair, their pop, their sizzle. She's given us a little pop and sizzle because this is a very valuable podcast and it needs to get to more listeners. Those loyal ones, the OGs, and you know who you are. we love you, and we want to hear your thoughts on a possible name change. It works in time with MLB talking about a little realignment, a possible realigning of adding some cities to the mix and realigning the leagues. Um, yeah. So all that to say, we love you, listeners, and we just want to get this thing out to more and more. So, boys, anything in response to that, or anything else before we hit a few listener questions? Chat chop.
You mentioned the realignment. I really like that. I know a lot of purists don't like it. I think it's great for just the personnel, the players, the staff. Way less wear and tear on the travel. I think it's going to create rivalries even better than what we already have, and kind of intensify them. So yeah, I like that, and I also like the cities that have been named as potential cities. So pretty fired up about that. I'm hopeful that that happens. But yeah, I'm excited to get into some topics.
Yep, friends of the pod there at John Boy talking baseball. Jake and Trevor Plouffe, who I don't think we've had on the pod yet. We got to get Trevor on the pod. They had a great episode, and Trevor Plouffe had some great ideas of realignment. He thinks Utah is in the mix. He thinks Nashville's in the mix, and yeah, I think it could be very exciting, especially if you get Philly, the Mets, the Yanks, the Red Sox all in the same
Crazy.
division. I mean, wow,
Is
the best
Portland in the
playing the
mix too?
best.
I heard
Portland
Portland a
is
few
in the
years
mix,
ago.
no
Yeah,
doubt about it. Um, I think real estate costs, Portland versus Utah, seems like Utah might be a little uh, more not expensive, but who knows? Portland's a great town. Flick money. Any thoughts on the matter?
No thoughts on realignment, coach. I've seen, this happens over and over and over again. I'm excited. I stay open to change. Hands up, like we're on a roller coaster. Who knows what's going to happen? I will just say, in regards to our rebranding, I want to say thank you, Coach Grace. If it's one thing three middle-aged dudes need, it's someone with some pop, sizzle, and great bubbles to help wrangle in this what very easily could turn into a dozen screaming cats,
Yes.
so or drowning cats. So
Yes.
thank you, Coach Grace, Coach Bubbles.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. We might bring Mike Hampton in for a few of these topics today, but some topics I want to hit involve something that comes up every single week, which is managing the mental side of the game. We've got a 10-year-old having a rough time managing expectations of themselves. And when something doesn't go well, they don't hit it well, they don't pitch well, there's tears. He loves the game so much, but it's getting worse as he gets older. What any tips for my son? So we have discussed this in the past, and I I I definitely want to ask Mike Hampton this as he played at the highest level. He saw how hard the game got, and now he has kids doing the same thing. But Coach Flicky, something for this dad as he's been waiting for about a month for us to get to this question. That 10-year-old, help him manage the mental side.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever cared about something so much that it feels like life or death when it does or does not go well? I mean, that is care. That is a deep level of care. And so, as we've said many times, that's going to mature. In the short run, what you have is a highly sensitive system and a system that's highly sensitive to perceived failure. Whether or not we would even consider it a failure from a coaching perspective, right? We're going to give up runs on the bump. We're going to strike out. You can see it from a coaching perspective that these aren't actually failures. These are mini, these are part of the game. These are mini setbacks within the context of playing. But the perceived failure is that this is a highly sensitive player. So all we want to do is when they're not in a agitated state, we want to sit down and we want to have a conversation about what's your ultimate goal, where are you trying to get to, and then we need to backwards plan for the emotional side because we need to talk about in the big leagues if you're let's say you were got really upset in Game 6 of the World Series with two guys on base. Are you going to be available to your team? No, not really, because mentally you're not going to be there. So if we don't want to be that guy in that spot, how do we have to start planning now and engage them in a process? Let him drive. What are some goals we could set for what this might look like? What are some tools we could bring to bear? Some deep breaths, telling a joke in the right spot. Maybe it's physical movement. Maybe he needs to knock out some push-ups or sit-ups to help
Mhm.
get the feels out. My 3-year-old and I are working with Shake It Out, feet
Yep.
rooted firmly in the ground and shaking like a tree in a windstorm and shaking out some of the feels. But just creating a plan of action and then really honoring and putting some shine on the tiny progresses forward, because it's going to be incrementally small progresses. But let's not beat the care out of this kid. I mean, that's someone who actually really loves the game at a level that's going to get him up out of bed and potentially turn him into a great player one day. So we don't want to make it, this isn't a character flaw. This is just a system that's really, really sensitive to failure. So,
Absolutely. And we tap into this, like I said, almost every episode. So for more content, more food on this topic, just go back into some previous episodes. The one thing I always say about this one is, yeah, it's when it matures, it's going to be a great quality. And I'd much rather have that kid who's hungry and upset than the one who is oblivious and wants to get out of here. Chopper, I'm going to hit number two your way. Your thoughts as we're thinking about pulling our daughter from the last couple games of her baseball season after her coach lied to her about getting to play a position and then not fulfilling what he told her. It's been a hard thing to grapple with as my husband is also a coach for our son's team, and I'm on the board with a particular coach. So there's, as a lot of small towns are, everybody kind of knows everybody, but there seemed to be some trust lost with this coach. So, advice for mom and dad in this position, Chad Chow.
Yeah, if I could just say one or two things about the previous question, just from personal experience recently, I was taking notes while Flick was writing or speaking. Timing's critical, right? You got to make sure they're not in an agitated state, just like Flick said. But like those are really important conversations. Bo and I were playing golf last week. We talked about it on the pod. A lot of golf. We played like 4 out of 5 days, and we do a 2-man scramble every time. And we were 3 under. We had an incredible day.
Let's go.
Bang! We didn't have a single long par putt. It was all like tap in pars, and a lot of birdies, a lot of it was super fun. Well, the next day we go out and we're like 7 over, and Bo's not happy. He's really upset. He's frustrated. And I was like, Bo, you got to remember, this is the backdrop for the beauty. This is what makes the -3 the day before so cool. If it was always like, golf's still super hard. Just because we dominated yesterday doesn't mean that today's going to be the same thing. And that's the backdrop for the beauty of the success. So the same thing in baseball. And these are the conversations you have with your son or daughter is like, dude, it's hard. Baseball's super hard. And that's what makes it great. And so in those moments when, you get frustrated, I get that. And I love that. And that's part of what makes you awesome. Just don't lose sight of the fact that it is hard. It's designed to be hard. You're designed to fail. So do that in a timely way. But yeah, if it was easy, you'd go do something else. You'd go find a challenge. And so embrace the suck. Maybe you got to dumb that down for a 10-year-old or clean that up a bit. But we said that this morning with my high school boys. One of my guys was super frustrated. I'm like, dude, embrace the suck. It's great. It's what makes it great. Your question with a coach who lied. Yeah, man, it's a cup of coffee, glass of milk. Just go hear their side of it. Maybe they had the right intentions and something outside of their control. I'd hear them out, and then I just make sure they know how it made you feel, how it made your daughter feel, and how losing trust is a really big deal. It's leadership, and trust is kind of paramount. That's, I would argue, the most important piece. But you still have to win your side of the deal. As far as if I'm the parent and something poor happens, that doesn't give me the right to react poorly. So control what you can control, do it in a respectful manner, and just make sure they know, hey, that wasn't optimal.
I feel like the one-off conversation where you just respectfully say, "Hey, can we have a chat? Here's some things I've noticed." If they are accepted, embraced, and there's some empathy from the other side, then maybe you got the right coach, right? But if there's pushback, if there's nah, don't have time to do it, can't get there, sorry about it. Um, Plenty of coaches out there, plenty of teams out there, and possibly the wrong fit. Flick money. I'll pass it to you on this topic of losing trust.
Well, I agree with everything you said. And as we've said many times, let's empower your player, your daughter, to have that conversation. Now, be there, yes, be there for support, because I know it can be intimidating talking to an adult when you're a child. But it's going to go a long way to empower her to become the type of her fully fledged, powerful self when she can say to an adult, "Hey, when you said this to me and then did this differently, this is how it made me feel, and I just wanted to be honest about that." I think that's powerful. That's growth. That's deep, deep human personal growth.
100% power there. And I love that. Empowering those kids to make tough decisions from time to time is a huge deal. Hello, everybody. Quick break from the podcast to tell you about the Coach Ball Game University. It's my online course that I've worked the last 5 years on. We've got the playbook, which is the psychology of coaching, how to engage, how to build trust, how to run effective practices. And that's for any sport, all ages. That's the playbook. Also, within the Coach Ball Game University universe is my skills course, which is baseball and softball specific for the eight and unders. The basic ways to teach the skill of catch, throw, field, hit, base running, rules of the game, and a lot of different stations you can create in your practices to make it fun, to make the skills fun to learn for the kids. So that's the skills course. We also have 12 pre-built practice plans for that eight and under baseball or softball team. So that's the Coach Ballgame University. You can see it at my website, coachballgame.com. It's also in the link in my bios on all my social medias. Boom. I tell you what else is a huge deal is the guy that just showed up on our screen. I'm going to go formal introduction here in my best in my best Harry Carey voice. He's a two-time All-Star, NLCS MVP, former Gold Glover, five-time, count 'em five, Silver Sluggers, most by a pitcher, NL wins leader in 1999, spent 17 seasons in the bigs, and he's the first pitcher to win the Gold Glove and the Silver Slugger in the same season. Man, this is a real honor. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Hampton has arrived. Round of applause.
Thank you guys. Good to be here.
How'd I do, Mike?
I think you nailed it. I think I'm 6 foot finally. You had a couple inches to the height. Read through my
Atta,
baseball card.
atta boy. It's so great to see you. These are my friends, Chad Chop, a former coach with the Dodgers and the Giants. I'm sure you've got mutual friends through that. And then Coach Flicky, who is my mentor, my Mr. Miyagi, who played at Stanford with guys like A.J. Hinch. And Flick Money, I want to give you the floor. You've got a wardrobe that is just it's inspiring to say the least. Can you explain it to Mike Hampton?
First of all, thank you for coming on. It's an honor. I did some research, Mike, and realized that you were from Brooksville, Florida. And while my instinct was to go like Pacific Northwest first date kind of apparel. I thought, what if I go Brooksville, Florida first date apparel, sleeveless, the Nuke squads? Just be honest. Do you think I'm cool?
Oh yeah, you're fit
Yes.
in. You are fitting
Yes.
in.
Nailed it.
Yeah, you're getting another date. Trust me.
A boy, and a boy. Chopper, did your paths cross? Do you have a story with Sean Dunston or with Clayton Kershaw about Mike Hampton? Any mutual friends?
I'm not sure, but I know growing up watching Mike, it was incredible. I mean, just obviously he shoved on the bump, but then just the ability to swipe like he could hit was awesome. So I loved watching you, Mike. Thank you so much for being here. We're excited to dig in and have you on and ask you some questions and have you answer some of our listeners' questions. So appreciate the time, man.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, great to have you here. And you posed a question to me a couple days ago that we're going to roundtable at the end of this because I'm noticing there's more and more bona fide major leaguers who we grew up watching who are now dads. And you're noticing, wait, I need to step in here and help coach these youth teams. And you guys have questions too. So that makes us feel 6 foot. Like we can help you out a little bit as well. I want to start early. The love of the game, and you are known as one of the most athletic pitchers in the game. And boy, was it fun to watch you hit and play defense. I know you were recruited to play college football, Notre Dame, Miami, FSU. I mean,
Mhm.
you could have played at a high level in other sports as well. But where did the love of sports begin for Mike Hampton?
I could honestly say my father instilled that in me at an early age. He'll tell people I walked at 8 months, but I could throw a baseball before I could walk. He made sure he put it in my left hand over and over and over again. He was left-handed. He was going to make me a left-hander. But honestly, just watching him, the way he competed and the way he instilled to compete, it was all about competition for me. So I played multiple sports. I had an affinity for baseball and football. I actually loved football growing up more than baseball until I kind of probably got around junior, senior year in high school. But it's just for me, it was competition, learning how to compete. I was even posed this question when I was coaching in minor leagues, when I was with the Angels. We're like, hey, let's teach these guys how to compete. Let's teach them. And I'm like, hold on a second. I mean, we these are like Saturday, Friday, Saturday starters in college, and they're coming to us, as draft picks and they're telling us how to compete. We got to teach them how to compete. I'm like, right, that kind of threw me back. So I would say teach your kids how to compete at an early age. My dad didn't let me win at anything. Like if we're playing darts, we're playing pickup basketball, or we're doing anything. He's like, when you can beat me, it's kind of over for me. So you're going to have to earn it. So I've been trying to earn it every day for the rest of my life.
That's amazing. We talk a lot. We talk to a lot of dads on this podcast who are driving that car, sitting in the bleachers, or most of them carrying a ball bucket to the field and trying to help these kids out. So I love that word compete. And yeah, if you've got to teach a 22-year-old to compete,
Yeah.
man, they might be in for some business. I'm going to pass it over to Flick Money. You got a question for our guest, brother?
Yes, I do. Mike, first of all, I just want to say 1999, my baseball career ended in 97. It took me, it's like breaking up. It's like getting dumped at homecoming by your first love. It was a hard fall. So 99 is when I come back online, lifelong Astros fan. I can't think, Chopper, of a worse three-game series for you and I than to go Hampton, big unit, left, left in the same series against that Astros team, man. Just unreal. And I guess my question for you, Mike, as it relates to this and your career is who were the coaches that made, or managers, pitching coaches, anywhere along the way that made the biggest impression on you, and what was it about them that really sticks with you now?
That's a great question. There's from youth all the way through, the high school. I was drafted out of high school to minor leagues. Like there's so many guys that, have impacted me. Probably starting out at a youth level, a guy named Pop Brown. He played some minor league ball back. I mean, it was like in the 50s and 60s. He was an older gentleman, but he had to, for us in a small community, he had been there before. So, what he said, I kind of held on to a lot. But just a real kind man. I think he was what really he instilled in me as being positive. I mean, he was a super positive guy. Sometimes I have, if I'm not perfect, I sometimes retreat and I start going to some negative stuff. But he was always positive. I think a great message is be positive. I think understood, at 11, 12, 13 years old, there's going to be a lot of mistakes made. But for him, that's been that positive role model. That was great. Going through the minor league system, I had a Coach Andrews that he didn't coach with the Rangers some, but I liked him because he was honest. He was straightforward, and if you stunk, you stunk. We approach it face forward, and then we kind of get past it. We learn how to get past it. So his honesty was something that my dad was always honest. So I like to look a man in the face and him give me that honesty. Dave Wallace, another big impact on my career. Todd Stottlemyre Sr. He was great. He had a lot of success. He was probably my first pitching coach that had a ton of success in the big leagues. So again, as a guy that's climbing the ladder, had some experience, had some time in the big leagues, his words struck true. He could hit. I mean, I remember I had 0 homers. How many home runs did he hit? I think he had 11 or 12, and I'm just like, holy crap! I was just in awe of that. Plus, he was like another just a great man. I actually had his son was a coach for me, and I coached with him in the big leagues in Seattle. Just a great family, a great baseball family. So, a lot of history in the game. So I had a lot of respect for them. But I really say probably the biggest mentor and the words that struck true was Larry Durker. He was managing, and he said that he goes, you can pitch the way you're pitching now, and you'll be a 500 pitcher, a mediocre pitcher, but you'll be in the big leagues. He goes, or you can kind of start working on that sinker a little bit more, and I think that'll be your ticket to stardom. And I took my bumps, I took my bruises. I want to say it was 97 when he had told me that, 97 or 98 when he told me that. And I got off to a rough start because I was trying to work on that sinker. I was like, I'd throw 2 good ones and then one would be a homer. But I mean, I just kept with it. He just said, hey, don't give up on it. And then once it hit, I think the second half of that season, I was like 11-3 with a 2-1 or something like that. And then I really got that confidence. So a bunch of guys had a role, but Larry Durker's words really rung true for me.
Wow, that's incredible. Shout out Pop Brown. He's passed on now. May rest in peace.
Yeah, great family man. His family's still all there, and they are really big in youth sports. But man, he was my first mentor.
The other question I had for you, Mike, I'm up here in Seattle, and a lot of people who remember you don't remember that you actually made your big league debut with the Mariners. And how old were you when you made your debut?
20.
20 years old. So just put that in context. I mean, there's only a handful of guys on earth that have ever made a big league debut at that young. But it doesn't go maybe the way you would have liked it. It doesn't sketch out the way you wanted.
I know. I remember it, 1993. I still remember it like it was yesterday.
And so I guess that as a young guy, you were still developing, mentally. As men, we don't fully form until we're like 27. So how do you talk us through some of the tools, or how did you deal with that emotional setback? You get to the big leagues, you're a rocket ship, and then all of a sudden you're really probably hitting failure in a big way for the first time. So can you talk us through what that process was like? What did you say to yourself? How did you get through it?
Yeah, I mean, failure. Yeah, learning how to deal with failure. I think we could all be a little better at that. So up until probably about a year before that, actually, I mean, never had a setback, never not made a team, never not been a starter, never not played, never never been not been like a guy. So I remember I kind of got rushed a little bit early on in my career, and I was 18. I was the youngest guy in the California League, and I was struggling, but I mean I still had good stuff, and I mean I could compete with anybody, but I was struggling. I didn't have any wins going in like 2 months into the season, and back then I really never thought about getting demoted. I never thought about getting sent down. I was just like, hey, I'm a baseball player. I'm one of their higher prospects, but my only win that year was a no-hitter, which was kind of weird, and they had a guy, a big league guy rehabbing, playing shortstop. And I remember after that, I had like 2 or 3 more starts, and it still didn't go my way. That one game was like and then I got a call in the office and getting told I was sent down. I was like, I just felt I was crushed, 18 years old. I'm in California. My family's in Florida. And just really that was the first time I really had to deal with failure. Like there's been times where you lose big little league games that you felt like were the end of the world, and then you're like, man, I was 11 and 12. Like it's really not that big of a deal. But back that time, that was probably the biggest moment of my life. So same with this. So probably teared up, probably had some tears, probably, I'm still a child in my mind, just I'm a little league baseball player that's kind of getting paid peanuts to do it. But for me, it was a lot of money. But I think I'm always one that was really good at self-evaluating. Like I said, I always liked it straightforward. So if I stink, tell me I stink, and then I can work on fixing it. But don't, give me the kid gloves and pat me on the back. And so I always have turned to just looking in the mirror and asking yourself, what do you want to do? Are you going to push? You're going to quit? What you're going to do? You're going to accept failure, or are you going to use this as, prove them wrong? So, my height has always been an issue. So I've always felt like I've been proving people wrong my whole life. So, I mean, this is another chance to prove them wrong. Got sent down, went to short season A in Bellingham, Washington, and just dominated. I was like 5-1 or 6-1, would have won something ERA, made the All-Star team, and I wasn't there for like a handful of starts. And I was like, all right. I went back to San Bernardino that next year, made the All-Star team, got called up Double A at the end of the year. So that was my first test. So then fast forward that year 1993 when I made the big league. I was a non-roster guy in spring training. I made the team out of spring training. That last year I was these were my heroes, the guys I'm going to face. I remember Kirk Gibson's my favorite baseball player ever. So I remember going to I faced him at the end of spring training, 4-pitch walk. It's my idol's in the box, nervous as can be, and I'm like, man, let's not do that again. So I sat in the bullpen for about 2 weeks before I made my debut, and I made my debut in Detroit against my favorite team growing up. They were my favorite team because my dad's seafood business was like 45 minutes away. That was the closest stadium. Lakeland Merchant Field was the closest stadium to my dad's work. So we always did some seafood for ticket kind of shuffle deal. So it worked out great. But I made my debut, snow flurries, whatever. Didn't go so well. I mean, I knocked Cecil Fielder's my first hit, gave up a double down the line. First strikeout, Mickey Tettleton. I think I'm at 2 2/3 and four hits, 4 runs, 4 walks. I mean, it wasn't a great debut. Struggled a little bit, and then Lou Piniella, he's like my dad. Tell you like it is. I remember coming out to the mound and said, if you can't throw strikes, I can't use you. I'm like, that makes as much sense as you could probably say. Got sent down to Double A, battled my way back up, back and forth, that year. I felt it wasn't a lost year because, like I said, I had to learn how to deal with that failure. I had to learn how to prove somebody wrong again. I went to winter ball that year, and that's when I felt I was a big leaguer. I went to Puerto Rico in 1993. Carlos Baerga, Juan Gonzalez. I had Carlos Delgado was my catcher. We had Javi Lopez was on the team, Edgar Martinez. I'm facing Roberto Alomar. So I'm facing these guys in their setting, in their country. But it's for me, I'm still got to prove myself. So, I actually did really well. And that's when I started developing the cutter. And then I started like striking out guys. I started like making some good pitches. And I was like, holy crap. These are big leaguers and I'm getting them out here. I got traded that winter to Houston. They gave me a shot out of their bullpen at 94. And from then on, I've been in the big leagues. But that winter ball, when I, just had some success against those guys that I didn't have success in the States, that gave me that boost of confidence that I needed to say, I'm a big leaguer. So that was really the time when I went to Puerto Rico that made the move.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. And so it's so relevant. So many questions that we get. And as we get into these questions, you'll see it pop up have to do with adversity, how we deal with it. And so many parents, they want to take the pain and the hardship out of the equation for the child. And I understand it. I'm a parent. It's hard to watch your little one that you love suffer. But what I just learned from you again was how important it is to build in that what are we going to do with this? What are my choices here? And if my choice is to prove someone wrong and to earn a spot on the team or to get the starting spot I want or to play the position I want, then that's that pays dividends in the long run. So parents, coaches, a little league, this is a great one to latch on to.
Yeah, find that it for you. What makes you go? What makes you tick? And I like to set goals. I like to set the ultimate goal. Like if it's to make your high school team or what, but you just set your small goals, your daily goals, your week. You got to set obtainable goals and you got to set something that might not seem attainable, but if you mark these steps off, you got a pretty good shot at getting there. So I think it's really important to kind of have these attainable goals but also have your focus where you want to be, and you know that it has to take those steps to get there. I can't just turn the page tomorrow and be in the big leagues. I got to work my way through that.
Oh, that's good stuff, man. I mean, I could just unpack that for about 30 minutes. It is. I feel like the one thing I will touch on is um, every great manager I've ever met, whether it's Mike Schilt or Dusty Baker, Joe Madden, they find the key, the exact key that unlocks each of their players. For you, somebody along the way found the key of, oh, when adversity hits, he he can become great if there's a chip on his shoulder and he's got somebody to prove. That you're going to have some of those out there, coaches, but some kids, that is not the key. It's a different type of key. So you really have to build trust and get to know these players. Tony La Russa, that's fair, that's the first thing he does is get to know each player. That way he knows what key to unlock. Chad Chop, I know you're bustling with some inspiration here. What do you got for Mike Hampton?
I mean, I loved, Mike, that you talked about compete. That is what every team looks for, especially at the higher levels, is compete. And so in today's day and age with showcase baseball, there's not an emphasis on, hey, dude, yeah, you can throw 100. Can you compete, especially in the zone?
Yeah.
So I love that you said that, and I hope that our listeners take heart to that. And coaches create competitions in practice. That's a big deal because you got to learn how to do it. Like you learned it from your father. But there's some kids out there that got to learn how to do it at practice. Couple questions I have for you. The first one is, and you can name a few teammates, but like, what are some characteristics that you think make a great teammate? And who are a few guys? Obviously, you're going to have a long list of good teammates, but who are some guys that like kind of personify what it means to be a good teammate?
Another great question. So there, you have certain types of leaders, and everyone has a gift. Like probably one of my favorite is Jeff Bagwell. Not a big vocal guy, but if you watch the way he went at his job, the way he was there early, the way he broke down video, the way he always made sure he maintained and worked out, like his swing pad, his thought pads. He always talked baseball. So certain guys like that. So and then you got the vocal leaders, like John Smoltz was a great guy to bring the clubhouse together and then talking. And in most teams you're looking for an everyday position player type guy, but the Braves and their motto, I mean they're pitching, pitching and defense. And so he could control the room. He was one of my favorites. Lenny Harris, one of those pivotal guys that they call him he calls himself all time because he got an all-time leader in pinch hits. And that's such a hard thing to do in the big leagues. I mean, what is a pinch hitter doing? He's pretty much coming in face closers, facing, tough matchup guys, whatever. But what the emotion he brought to the game, the holding people accountable, what he brought to our team. And I really think that year with the Mets that we went to the World Series, we don't get there without him. Like I say, he wasn't a starter. He was a bench guy, but you knew if you were messing up, he was going to be one to check you. And then you didn't want him to check you. So different ways to lead, different ways, like I said, vocal, inspirational, how to show it. But for me, Lenny Harris probably emulates what you want on your team to kind of get them to the next level.
Yeah, I love that. Bagwell sounds a lot like Buster, right? Being with the Giants with Buster, I mean, he just was always prepared.
Yep.
And sometimes that meant he would do what he had to do, take 5 swings off the tee and then head out and catch a great game and get 4 doubles. It's just like, but the dude was always prepared. He could always have a conversation at a high level. But yeah, I love that. I love the Lenny Harris because he found his niche of like, listen, I'm not going to play every day, but guess what? Like I can hold guys accountable. And by the way, you can't hold people accountable if they don't respect you. So it also means he earned y'all's respect. I'm sure he showed ways that he loved y'all and he would do anything for you. He probably was a servant leader in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you can kind of manage a room. The next question I have for you is more of a fun one. Who are some guys that you saw yourself in? What meaning, like for me, Madison Bumgarner is a guy like you, like high level compete, could swing it. Who are a few guys that you're like, oh yeah, I could see some of my game in that guy?
Probably the biggest one is probably Mark Burley. I was a big fan of his, just like the same thing. I mean, he always towed the rubber. We had similar stuff. weren't overpowering. We relied on movement, and like I felt he just competed. I felt he competed with his stuff. A lot of times you get on a big stage, and you might you might be able to throw 93, but it's probably not your game. I've faced that a little bit in New York early on, just really trying to be something I wasn't until you kind of get back into your game. Always impressed with him. Andy Pettit. So guys that before all this video and all the tech came in, I used to break down game videos on VCH on VCR. So I would watch, say, Al Leiter. I would watch Tom Glavine. I'd watch Andy Pettit. I'd watch them face the lineup that I was going to face, maybe the day or two, next start. And I'd do as my research. I mean, I found out, like, okay, Leiter and I both have cutters, and he barely throws a curveball, and I don't throw mine very much. But to him, he'd get 2 strikes, he'd bounce a curveball. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to try that. So you pick up that little bit off that tape. Now, I mean, everything's pretty much downloaded for you, and you can watch all your historical data based upon how many times you faced everything, and you got a lot more information, which I really enjoy. And I think sometimes it's overdone, but I do enjoy the information. But those guys I have similar stuff with. I'd always watch them, especially a little bit, guys a little more veteran than me, like Glavine, the way he competed it. Yeah, he could throw 92, but I mean, he competed and pitched with an 87, 88, but he just knew where to put it, and he knew his hitters, and he'd done his research. He's one of the more cerebral players. And I was at times wish I could be a little more cerebral, because sometimes my fault D set is let's go let it rip, let's go get it. But those guys that are able to kind of control the game, I felt they had a lot of success. Those between Mark Burley and Tom Glavine, I think they really controlled the game and never got out of their game plan.
It's funny, man, because they don't make them like that anymore. The Jamie Moyers, where it's like, listen, I'm gonna miss barrels. Those guys don't even get drafted anymore.
No, you're right.
Mean, Kyle Hendricks is kind of like one of the last guys I can think of that's just up there, just the professor. But I love what you said. Like for pitchers, especially like working with high school or younger kids, know what your strengths are. If you're in a situation, I had a kid last year who doesn't topped out at like 84, but a ton of movement, really nasty, good secondary stuff. And he would get in these 2-0 counts, and he would try to throw hard. And I'm like, dude, understand who you are. Like, what do you top out at? If it's 84, that's kind of the hitting speed. So like,
let's under the hitting speed, right?
Let's take a little off. Like, let's go and then by the way, if you're sitting at 80, let's go 77 BP fastball, and you're going to throw it over the plate, and they're going to pull it foul, And you learn that from, I think Maddox would talk a lot about that, the BP fastball. But I love what you just said. And it's powerful coming from you, because they listen to us, but they really listen to you. But I love that. I love that you did your work and you found guys like you. That's a good comp, Burley, because they had a sinker cutter. Yeah.
Worked fast too, right? And there's something to that. You get a hitter on their heels. Guys, I don't think we've had a guest who is rocking 5 silver sluggers behind him. I mean, if you're not watching on the YouTube, you should. There's a gold glove there. What would it take for me to have one of those silver sluggers? If we were to trade something, I've got a coffee mug from Brown University. I've got a tube of sunscreen just for the face, but anything that could possibly get one of those in my office.
I'm thinking if you change your last name to Hampton and become my adopted son, I will give you one of those.
Deal. That's where I was going with that. Really wanted you to adopt me. Love my dad, but yeah, now we're gold. I have created a trivia game, and this is Mike Hampton trivia. So that's a tease. The way it'll go is I'll ask Mike Hampton trivia, kind of rolling down memory lane, and you guys, whoever guesses the correct answer first, will get the point, and whoever gets the most points wins a set of steak knives that I don't have right now, but I will. But I want to go ahead and tap into the first question here. So make sure you're ready to rock. And if you get the answer wrong, you can keep guessing until we find the right answer. Mike Hampton as a pitcher, and listener, you tap into this too. See if you can figure it out before they do. What batter had the most ABs against Mike Hampton? Say it when you know it. The number is 64.
I mean, I'm going NL guys, top of the
Thinking
order,
NL
NL
West,
guys.
maybe.
Doom, 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 doo, doo, doom, 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 doo, 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 doom, boo, doo, doom.
I mean, he would have been in the league his entire career. Is it? Are we talking official plate appearances? What about
Mike,
Mike,
you
Barry?
can
What
answer
about Barry
too.
Bonds?
okay, good guess. How about maybe a teammate of his?
Jeff Kent.
Jeff Kent.
Bang. Jeff Kent, correct.
Whew.
Jeff Kent had 64 ABs. Chopper in the lead with
Cool.
one right there. That's what you got for the end of this podcast, guys. I've got maybe 10 questions in that vein, but Jeff Kent, mustache, teammate of Bonds, 64. Um, best mustache you ever saw in the game of baseball,
Was not
Mike
Jeff
Hampton.
Kent.
Who would that be?
You know what? I just had the privilege of riding in an event in Atlanta with Raleigh Fingers, and I'm telling you, it's still there. It's still on
Still there.
point. He still
Yeah.
has it. He still has it. Yeah,
I
I have
love that. Yeah, Raleigh fingers indeed. My dad, still a big mustache wearer. I just my upbringing was short jean shorts, Hawaiian shirt unbuttoned, and a huge mustache, and we just played catch every day, and that's that's baseball to me. That
My
and
dad
hearing
rocked the
your
Tom
voice.
Selleck too. He's still got it going on. He's still got it.
Well, you have to in Florida. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Skibbity bop. Another quick break from the pod to tell you about our supporters. Who's powering the Talkin' Shop podcast? Well, it starts with Warstick. They are my equipment sponsor. The bat, the glove, the epic swag. I'm wearing the hat right now. Go to Warstick's website, Attaboy 15, 15% off any of their stuff, and it's good stuff. That's Warstick. Thank you very much. We're also powered by Squares. These shoes that I wear, there's turfs, there's cleats, there's golf shoes. They're amazing, they're comfy. Squares, go to the Squares website. Attaboy10 is the promo code there, 10% off, and they're sweet shoes and they smell good. And lastly, we're powered by Thromo. The promo code for the Thromo website is Attaboy. And this is a mat that really teaches kids how to step when they throw to a target. It also works for hitting as well. Very basic. You just put this mat down, and it gives these kids a great straight line to step down, to throw down, to step when they hit. It's a beauty. I like things basic, and this is basic. So I wanted to do a roundtable here. When we're talking World Series champion pedigree, what are let's call it three. You only got three things that make up, whether it's that Mets team that was fighting, that you were on a World Series pedigree team. I'm gonna go with. I'll start with my three, and then you guys can either attach on or go elsewhere. I think clubhouse, that Justin Turner in the Cubs clubhouse, that there's a chance there. I'm gonna go with clubhouse guy. I'm gonna go with bullpen. You got to have that Royals of 2015 lights out bullpen, and then I think you do have to hit dingers in October. I don't. I would love to see the Brewers do something, but maybe we'll hop over to Flick Money here. Those three things, the intangibles or tangibles that make the greatest teams.
I mean, I think those are great summaries. I love that. And coach, the only thing I would say is I guess it actually piggybacks onto Clubhouse, the team that gets hot at the end of the year. It's so much about that riding that into the playoffs. And I think the Clubhouse has a big a big part in that. Obviously, a great bullpen has a big part in getting hot at the end of the season too. But I think about the Rangers a couple of years ago. You would have July probably not thought of them, and then all of a sudden in September, it's like they can't lose a game. They're just donkey stomping people and ride that right in. So yeah, that's the only other thing I would say is that energy, that momentum.
Chopper, we'll go to you, and then bat and forth cleanup with the grand salami, Mike Hampton.
Yeah, so had these conversations, and this is from Blake Trinan, and he says it's the team that's the healthiest, the luckiest, and the hottest. So you've got to be healthy, you've got to get lucky, and you've got to be hot at the right time. Being in that Giants World Championship clubhouse, and then in the Dodgers World Series Championship clubhouse, it was wild how calm that Giants clubhouse got when the playoffs started. And it was this grind to get in, because every time they didn't win the division, it was wild card. But the second that we clinched, it was like, oh, this is what we do, and that 2014 was the third in 5 years. And so it was a connected group that just got so calm. And the flip side was the Dodgers in 2019, where they were by far the best team, 106 wins. And then the playoffs came around and it was like, oh shoot, we're the best team. We have to win. And so it's this interesting dynamic of like, can you be calm in those big moments? And obviously the Dodgers learned how to do it in 2020 and then did it again last year. But yeah, I think every team that makes the playoffs is going to have some of the things you talked about ball game. And then it kind of slides into your health, your luck, and can you get hot?
Yeah. I mean, I heard Doc Roberts say last year it was character in that clubhouse that was the difference.
Well, they
Mike,
flipped the script too, ball game.
Oh, yeah.
They flipped the script too, because they all of a sudden said, remember, they tricked themselves. They're like, well, the Padres are the hottest team in baseball, so we got to beat them. And then it was the Mets, and someone said the Mets were going to beat them. And so they were able to get the target off of their own back, whether it was real or not. And then all of a sudden it was the Yankees. And so they did a really good job mentally of taking the pressure off themselves.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. The team that can take that pressure, the team that can treat that game like it was the last game of the season where we're in the playoffs. That mentality. The best teams I've been on that we didn't necessarily wasn't the team that had the most talent. Like the team that we had in '98 when I was with the Astros, and I mean we had so much talent. I mean we had Randy. I mean, he was just lights out, and we had traded for him. But the clubhouse, like we say, the team I was with, the Mets, that was the best clubhouse we had. We had youth, we had veterans, we had some guys in the middle, we had guys still proving themselves. A lot of guys first time in the playoffs, and there's a lot of guys that have been in the playoffs. So experience is one. I mean, everybody makes such great points, and I'm sitting there writing them down. I'm thinking like, man, how do you find three? But yeah, clubhouse for me. When I played the game, it was starters. You had to have a starter. Let's get it started late, and then we'll get to our late inning guys. Now it seems like everybody's a late inning guy. So yeah, the bullpen health. You can have a great bullpen through the first 6 months of the season, but man, if you've really leaned on them throughout the season, that bullpen health is going to be big. And for me, it always seems like every year there's a hero. I got to find my mad bum. There's got to be that one guy that just steps up and just takes the bull by the horns, and he's our guy. And I mean, the Giants don't win the game, don't win the World Series without Madison Bumgarner. I mean, what he did in the playoffs is, I know Randy, and Schilling did it, a great job with the Diamondbacks, but who's my mad bum? That guy, he wins every start, and then he 5 innings in relief. Like there has to be a hero for me. Like everybody, plays the game. We're there for right. So the clubhouse, that mentality of being together, the health of your bullpen, and then I got to find my hero. Who's going to be the hero?
So you brought up Bum. You brought up Bum, and he had that crazy historical run. And so I asked him, like, dude, Madison, how'd you do that? And to your point, he said, I just turned my give a crap dial down. Yeah. And I just treated it like it was another day. And obviously he's got this high compete.
Oh my God. Yeah.
He turned it down and it showed. He was calm. He could execute. And yeah, dude, we don't win without.
Now that calm confidence, man. He never looked like he was rattled. He just looked like next. Isn't that right? Like, I mean, it was
100%.
As a pitcher, I got goosebumps. Like, that was an awesome performance. That was impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask you what gives you goosebumps. It's nice. Mad Bum and his compete meter gives you
Oh
goosebumps.
yeah.
Flick Money.
I was going to say, or from an offensive player, what Freddie did last year. But you're right. There's, Kurt. You're talking about Kurt Gibson, friend of the pod, tremendous human.
Gosh.
I mean, guys, you can be an offensive player who steps up and gives you that, and or a pitcher. And great teams, it seems like they have one in each who can kind of rise up there.
Tommy Edmond too, right? Last year,
Tommy Edmond, come on, great
450
Stanford Cardinal reference right there.
It'll come from,
Yeah.
you never know where it's Eddie Perez. You know,
Yeah.
he won Todd Pratt. I mean,
Yes.
these guys are winning, NLCS, MVPs because like they're out of nowhere. But I mean, right? That mentality.
Some of those guys have it. Like Kike Hernandez seems like he's always in a big spot against a lefty hitting the bomb. Jock Peterson, everything ramps up.
They want to be in that spot, right?
Got to be in the moment.
You like, please make walk, get hit. I need in that back. You gotta want to be in that spot.
Then Zobrist.
Oh, Zobrist. Great reference. I was going to ask you, for those of us who have never got a chance to do it, Mike, you pitch in that World Series in 2000, right? The Mets Yankees World Series. When we're talking about turning down your give a beat meter and being calm, how do you do that in New York City playing the Yankees? I mean, when I go to New York as a tourist, the energy is so off the chain. I can barely sleep. Like it's like there's so much action happening. I'll get like 3 hours of sleep a night just visiting New York. How do you dial it down, and how do you get laser focused in that environment?
Nice. I mean, the more times you do it, right, the more times you're apt to handle that situation. But it comes down to tunnel vision, and I think it all stems from confidence, knowing that the work you've put in to that moment, that you've checked every box. There's no hesitation. There's no doubt. It's just compete. It's me against you. Nobody cares what your bank account is. Nobody cares, how many home runs you hit that year. All it is for that game. It's just that's the most important thing, and you just have to narrow it down to just that. And the people that can do that can slow it down. The teams and the personnel that can do that, they're going to win. Why did the Braves win every single year? They just knew they were gonna, and they were confident they had done what they needed to do, and it was business as usual. They just, I'm not that guy. I was kind of, a little more hype, a little more, I had to pull the reins back a lot on myself throughout my career because it's hard for me not to push, but the more times you do it, but if you can get down that tunnel vision. My best games, I was more mentally tired than I was physically tired because I was concentrating. I was focused so much on what I had to do and what I needed to do that I was more mentally tired.
And do you think we can teach that to young players, or is that something you have to just earn over the course of all of the bullpen time, the weight room time, and the running, the calisthenics? Like, is it built, or can it be taught, or is it a combination of both?
It's definitely a combination of both. The problem is now, and I touched on a little bit earlier, is everybody wants the instant gratification and instant satisfaction. And you can get it, but it's not where you're going to be, not where you need to be. I think a lot of times kids nowadays, and parents too, they want it like right now. And my dad didn't know anything about, being a Major League Baseball player. My dad was a fisherman. My dad, ran a seafood business. He coached me, he challenged me, but he didn't know mechanics. He didn't know that, but I was there. We always showed up. We always competed. We were always there. And I just think you have to build that in little steps, like I said, the goals, a little bit of confidence. Hey, that kid like was lacing doubles off me last year. Now I'm getting him out, right? That, you use those many victories as you build your way up. But I just think as a youth, you can't want to be a Major League All-Star at 11 and 12. You gotta work your way through that fundamentals, play multiple sports, throw football, swim, basketball, do all those things to let your body develop and have fun. Your youth, your childhood is about having fun. If you're not having fun playing sports, then then don't do it. Like if every weekend you're 1 for 7 and you punch out 4 times and you're hating your life, like that's not what baseball is meant to be. That's not what sports is meant to be. You have to get where you love the sport, love the grind. Somebody asked me the other day, like, man, how'd you do it? How'd you do it for so long? I never one time hated practice. I got a chance to hit balls. I got a chance to see how many I could catch. I got a chance to rob my friends. I embrace practice because I just get to do what I love to do. A ball's coming at me, I get to see how I can hit it, right? I get my buddy in the box. I get to punch him out, or hey, if he hits me, then why'd he do it? Like I just think you gotta just respect the grind. You have to embrace the grind, and just right. You got to just understand that things take time. It's not going to happen overnight.
Ooh, it's a lot of beauty right here, man. We're gonna need a Mike Hampton returns episode, and we can dial because I would love to ask you questions about your advice to that coach teaching pitchers that are 11, 12, 13. Maybe just a short answer there on because I've seen some of the comments that you put when I'm posting a video on pitching. Your advice to that 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old pitcher and their dad who's coaching them.
Well, I mean, first, I hate when you hear, "Oh, just throw strikes." Trust me, we're trying to throw strikes. Like I didn't throw a whole lot of them. I threw stuff that looked like strikes, and I got them to swing at them, and they were balls. But I said, be patient. Understand that if your kid's smiling, there's a better chance he's going to be a good pitcher than your kid's coming there upset crying. I think you build in like competitions, like we're talking about throwing strikes. How many strikes can you throw, right? And then as you can throw 8 to 10 balls over the plate for strikes. All right, and then we start working. Okay, how many strikes on the outside part can we throw? Right, we start working. So we don't go from okay, he threw a bunch of strikes down the middle. Let's see what your curveball looks like. No, that's not how it works. Right, let's learn how to locate. All right, we're throwing strikes now. Now let's throw quality strikes, right? Okay, now you mastered the quality strike. Okay, now we can work on something a little off speed. Let's go to a changeup, right? If you can master strikes at each quadrant and a changeup down the zone, you will have success until you need to learn how to throw a breaking ball. And for me, that's not until probably 14 or 15.
Could you say that again a little louder for the ones in the back?
Yeah, yeah. Don't start spinning balls too soon, especially if you're playing year-round baseball. I would say if you're a pitcher in Little League and you want to play fall ball, find a position play. Go play outfield. Go play shortstop. Go play first base. Go find another position. So when you're not playing your main position, I hate POs. I heard the term PO probably about 10 years ago. I know what is that? Pitcher only. I'm like, that exists? I'm like, no, don't be a PO. Learn how to hit, learn how to bunt, learn how to do all these things. But for me, like throwing strikes, getting ahead in the count, if you put yourself in good counts as a pitcher, no matter what your age, if you're constantly 0-1, 0-2, 1-2, you can get away with a fastball out of the zone. And you don't have to throw a breaking ball. You can get away with a changeup off the plate. You don't have to spin it. So just put yourself in good counts.
I love hearing guys that have been there. They've pitched World Series games in New York, move back home, that they see the world of youth sports and are willing to do something about it. I've seen it with Jay Bruce. I've seen it with Barry Zito. I see it with Daniel Bard. I'm starting to see it more and more. Matt Boyd from the Pacific Northwest. He's got kids that are starting to play. So it just fires me up that my heroes growing up are willing to help this next generation, not just kids, but coaches. Now you have a question for us, and that's a tease. I'm excited to hear your question because we are here to help you. But let's go question 2 on our trivia game right here. Chop is leading 1-0. Winner gets a set of steak knives, which I'll mail to you Christmas of 2030. What batter had the most hits against Mike Hampton? And there's 2 here. 19 career hits this hitter had.
Richard Aurelia.
Great guess.
Thank
One is a double letter. The first and last name are both P's.
Ooh,
So there's one.
it's a good clue.
Phil Plantier.
Good guess. Good guess. Incorrect. And the other one is just a first ballot Hall of Famer. And
Well, I mean, did Barry get you 19 times?
he did not.
Albert,
Mike,
I
you
did
let
look
it
up
rip.
his numbers. I think he hit 283 or something off me. I'm like, guess that's probably better than
That's
most.
not
But
bad.
I got some punch outs. He's got some homers. I think 5 homers. But my son asked me that. He goes, "You ever face Barry Bonds?" I'm like, "I faced him a bunch."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mike, see if you can beat these guys now. They're
Yeah,
trying to
get in
beat
there,
you.
Mike.
Well, I don't know if this is a question. Is one of them probably got his first major league hit off me? I'm guessing.
Ooh, now that one, you snuck one by the
But
goalie there. I should have done my research, but we
but
got a
I'm not sure if
double
that's him or
P,
not.
double P, and then first ballot third baseman.
Third baseman.
19 hits.
First ballot third baseman from that generation. I mean, where that's post um, Mike Schmidt.
Mm, wow.
What are the
Nationally.
initials for the third baseman ball game?
CJ. Say it, Mike. Get him.
Chipper
I'm
Jones. Chipper Jones.
Chipper
Oh,
Jones. Chipper
Chipper,
Jones is correct.
your
And the
old
double P
teammate.
was Placido Polanco.
I was gonna say Placido Plunk. I didn't know it was the right time. I
That
should have said
guy,
it.
man. I always thought he was the greatest hitter of all time. He could waffle that stuff over to second baseman's head with the best of them.
Well,
I
there's
didn't think that was the
something
right
to
era.
that. I want
Yeah.
that to be part of a winning culture is that guy that hits 9 foul balls. Like, and I asked AJ Hinch that. Is there something to that, Mike? But you were going to say something.
No, just the hardest guy. Everybody's like, man, who's the hardest guys to play? Who's going like? You look at McGuire, Sosa, the power hitters, guys that I was fine against those. I'd sink it, cut it, leave it off. But the guys that could go the other way, man, those guys wore me out. And there's something to be said. Especially, I mean, I always wondered why they didn't. I told my guys that when we faced Glavine when I was in Houston, like, just go the other way. He's going to throw your stuff away. He goes, it ain't that easy.
Yeah,
It ain't that
yeah,
easy because he's
yeah.
going to get the 3-0 changeup. But like, yeah, the guys that could hit the ball the other way, man, they could single me to death. Those were the toughest guys. The power hitters, I was pretty successful against them.
Those of you out there, those kids that maybe you're not the biggest kid on the team, listen to Mike Hampton. I'm telling you, stay with that game. Um, I can't wait to see if anybody can come back on Chopper here. But Mike, you posed a question to me. Let's talk about it. What do you got, Coach?
Yeah, so yeah, I always find it, a lot easier coaching kids at the high school, college, professional level, just the terminology, things like that. For me, I have an issue sometimes over coaching the youth player, the younger player, because I see so many things wrong, and it's so hard to not just say this and this and this. So, what would your advice be, like coaching a younger kid, especially guys that maybe played at higher levels? Some of your advice about coaching like the youth level?
Chopper, let's start with you because you've coached Kershaw and you've coached your son. So what do you got?
Yeah, Mike. When it's youngsters, can you get him in an athletic position, and can you try to get him to use like targets? So, like, if I think a kid's got a long swing, hey, let's get athletic, and he's a righty. Hey, let's get really athletic and try to hit a hard ground ball to second. So, if you can kind of just get them in a good position, and then give them like a simple prompt, so they're not thinking about a million different things. And I like to kind of prioritize in my head, like, okay, he's got 12 things going on, but can I get him in a really positive mindset, get him athletic, and give him a target? Then we got a chance.
Get their focus a little. Yeah.
Yeah, more tunnel. Daniel Bard was on this pod and he's got sons and he's like, "Hey buddy, I'm coaching these pitchers on this 8-year-old team and I noticed 84 things wrong. What do I do?" And mine was like, can you take that sponge, just squeeze it, and then what's left in the sponge is that one thing. Can you narrow it down to one? Because I think 8-year-old boys, 10-year-old boys specifically, it's tough for them to multitask and think about even 3 or 4 different things. So really, one per day is kind of my goal. Flick Money, what do you got?
Yeah, practice time. I reverse engineer, right? So here, what do I want it to look like? Because this is what you know. This is what you're an expert on, Mike. You know exactly what you want it to look like in the end. So let's
Mhm.
reverse engineer it from top down. So that way we're going to start with it's always going to start with the feet in practice. So I got to, what's the feet part of this? That's 1 week. What's then the next level up from that, right? What's the next part of the movement that I need to teach? So I do that with hitting, I do that with pitchers. I'm just starting 1 week at a time, layering one, focusing on one physical aspect of the mechanic. Or if it's a team mechanic, turning double plays, or we're focusing on this week, it's just the in close flip from second to short, or whatever the piece is. And then seeing the season as a way that layer by layer by layer, I will get through all of it in practice, but I can't focus on all of it in this practice because it's going to be way too much information for them. And so, and then games are different. Games, I really want to get their attention honed in. So I don't talk a single mechanic thing during a game. It's what are my verbal cues as a coach. For me, if kids are struggling with contact, I want to make sure that they're seeing, they're actually seeing the ball really well. So I'll say to them, "Are you missing over it or under it?"
Mhm.
And to try to get them to hone in. Well, if they're missing under, which is 90%, then let's get focused on the top half of the baseball. And so what I'm just doing is honing their vision. I'm not worried about the physical mechanics. If we can make that adjustment in a game, that's great. And the other thing is I really try to only paint pictures in the positive. In other words, tell them what I want, not what I don't want. It's a useless time to tell them what you don't need.
Mhm.
Deep breath right here, pounding the knees, whatever the visual is. I want them to hone in on that over and over and over. And so game time is just really a couple of positives, a couple positive keys, and see the season as it's a marathon with the skill building, not a sprint.
Yeah,
That's great.
look at it like a ladder where okay, I see this kid, he's not taking the ball back far enough. He's close in here, he's pushing it, he's throwing uphill instead of down. Okay, where do we start here? Should I start with the hand separation? And then that's week one. Let's just work on separation of hands. Maybe I just know they need to try and reach to the target. So if I can narrow it down to one word, where when they release the ball, I want to hear you say reach. If you can have them say the word, or like Chopper said and Flicky, like picture a target, like they're hitting fly balls to third base. Okay, try to hit a ground ball to second. Boom. Just try that. I think young the boys and girls, that visual cue and that one word cue of positive, not negative, is a secret to the sauce. But I think it takes a lot more strength to turn the give a care meter down and instead of overcoach, just take the foot off the gas. That takes more strength, Chopper.
Yeah, and then understanding obviously with youth, it's love of play, right? So it's joy because that'll keep them coming back when it gets harder at the higher levels. But sometimes it's not what they're doing, but maybe it's the cause. So like for a hitter, it's maybe it's their timing, right, Mike? Where it's like, hey, dude, let's just get you started way earlier, or I want you to verbalize when you think you should start with your load. And then I like with my youth pitchers, and I know that there's so much more that goes into it, but I'm like, dude, can we hit a balance point? Can we separate on time? And that's kind of like where I simplify it. Granted, there's way more that goes into it, but sometimes if you can just get them to hit a good balance point, separate on time, we got a chance. But yeah, totally like, dude, stay positive with them, which I know you're doing, but it is very challenging going from those different, I always remember for me coming from a big league clubhouse and then diving right into my youth, but it's like, it's so fun to see them, man. Like, it's like, that's it for me. It's like, gosh, I love you guys so much. You bring me so much joy and gratitude, and I love you guys. And so I really cling to that.
That's great. I listen to Flick, listen to you guys talk and talk about positivity. It kind of brings back a point for me. Like I asked my son the other day, I said, do you ever do positive self-talk when you're on the field? I'm like, no. He goes, no, what's that? Like, when I'm on the mound, I'm not thinking, all right, hey, it's, 2-2. You don't want to go to 3-2. You're not thinking negative. You're like, hey, all right, 2-2. Hey, let's go down and way hard right here. Let's get him swing over top of it. Like just positive things in your mind. And you can will yourself to do better, like, I was always a big positive self-talk guy. Like I cut her down there. Let's get it in there, right? It's not like okay, cut her down there. Don't leave her to play because it's positive. Hey, let's get it in there. Let's bury it. Something like that. So just putting those positive thoughts in your mind, I think, is really helpful.
I love it. 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 Well, we're going to get you out of here, Mike, but let's see who's going to win this thing. Let's go to you as a hitter, with our trivia contest. As a hitter, I mean, just go watch some YouTube, kids. The dude could rake. It was fun to watch. What park did Mike Hampton hit the most bombs at?
That's got to be Coors Field,
Gotta be
Colorado.
Coors.
Correct. Flick money
Yes, I
on the
come
board.
back. Come
He
on.
had five dingers at Coors. Let's go once again as a batter. Most plate appearances against, and this name was spoken earlier in this podcast.
John Smoltz.
Incorrect. Good guess.
Good guess.
Raleigh
Same.
fingers. No, I'm
Same.
just kidding.
Tom Glavine.
No, it's the right division.
Thinking fellow aces.
Randy
Lefty.
Johnson,
Lefty.
the big unit.
Jamie Moyer.
No. Had 18 plate appearances against this lefty. He's now on MLB Network.
Not
Oh,
Matt.
Leiter?
Oh, Leiter.
Al Leiter is correct.
Al Leiter.
Chop gets the knives.
Was that Chop? Was that Chop with 3?
Yeah.
What as a pitcher, what hitter had the most ribbies against Mike? Dodger, lefty slugger.
Man, I know this. He hit over 800 against me too.
Say it, Mike. You're in the game.
Huh? Oh, Sean Green.
Bang!
Tustin High.
Killed me. I bet it doesn't matter if it was a blooper off the end of the bat or just barreling it up. That dude he had no problem with me. He said, "I don't really like facing you." I'm like, "Yeah, you do."
Do you have a tip, Mike? Did he have it? Because he loved getting tips on guys. Did he have something on you?
You know what? I hit him, and I think in back-to-back ABs, and I really liked him. I thought he was a good guy, but I just balls got away on the inside, and I was just like, I didn't want to hit him anymore. So I think he felt like, so I just kind of stayed away, and I felt he felt pretty comfortable. But yeah, man, that's a guy that I did not want to see in the box for sure.
It put a negative thought in your head instead of a positive.
It did.
Right?
I know it did, and I remember I was in Coors Field, and I was throwing BBs that day. Like, I mean, I was probably 95, 90. The hardest I'd been throwing. Cutter was closer to 90, 91, which was usually 87, 88. I'm like, my day, payback, my day. Well, homer, double, like, didn't matter. I'm like, every once in a while, I just like, oh, just let him. Hey, can we walk him? I'd rather be at first. You know what I mean?
He's still
John Green.
But like, I'm not backing down. I mean, Buddy Bell's coming out. He goes, hey, Barry Bonds up. He goes, hey, Mike, we need to probably walk him there. I'm like, come on, bro. I said, I can get him, but that's just the mentality you have to have, I'm like, Of course it's the right move. It's Barry Bonds, and there's, open base, but I'm like, I can get him, just.
You guys can catch up with Chopper here. It's 3-1. Who had the most dingers against Mike Hampton? What hitter? Just a righty slugger.
A righty slugger.
Probably went the other way well on the same.
Wasn't Albert?
No.
An L guy.
Similar power, little earlier than Albert. They crossed paths, but
McGuire?
No. Eric Davis? No.
But you're close. Ooh, Eric Davis. Love that swing.
He hit me early, man. I got him late, but he was on me early.
Still haven't heard the name, though. When I heard McGuire, I went, it's right there.
Jacob.
Nope. Didn't play with McGuire.
Ooh, Scott Rowland. I like that guess.
I will say Rowland and Bonds, you walked the most.
Yeah.
With 11 walks.
Believe it.
But with 6 dingers, he had a trademark hop after his bomb.
Sosa.
Bang.
Sammy
had 6 dingers.
Barry had 5. That sounds about
Was there a sound? Was there one that stands out in your mind as like you're 60 feet away and the sound of ball hitting bat was like Shohei?
Oh, man, I had a game in Montreal against Vladimir Guerrero. So I threw a cutter that didn't cut that he about hit through the roof. Next at bat was a 4-seamer away. He hit the right field. Next at bat, curveball bounce. They hit the center. And then his third at bat, I threw one at his neck for a single. I'm like, I got him. He hit the neck ball for power. Everything else he owned.
We found his
that
weakness.
Ball down the line. I don't know if the roof wasn't there. It was just unbelievable. Like that guy, his skill set was because I was a bad ball. he was a bad ball hitter, and I was a strike the ball pitcher. I wanted to look like a strike. You swing at it when it's not.
Yep.
It didn't matter for him. That dude could hit anything. So yeah, that sound off of his bat. And I will say this: the hardest I've ever heard. I met him for the first time, and I talked to him, was Dave Winfield. I met him at the Hall of Fame, and I told him, I went up to him, I said, the ball came off your bat louder than anyone's I've ever heard. And this is in BP in Minnesota. And he goes, really? He goes, lefty, right? I'm like, yeah. I said, he goes, I just sit and watch you take BP, and it just came off there. And I said, by the way, you got one of your 3,000 off me. So he was pretty appreciative.
I just got to meet him in Atlanta.
And it was BP. I've never seen anybody hit a ball as hard as Dave Winfield. He was just so long, and when he'd get everything going, it just came off different.
Yeah, the sound is just something that stands out. That's so
yeah,
good.
you kind of flinch like a cannon goes off. You're like, whoa, what was that? Yeah.
Dave Winfield.
He would have been he could have been a big league pitcher. The Shohei doing what he's doing. I feel bad for you, Mike. I feel like you could have played the outfield 3 days a week.
Oh, man, I love
and been an all-star there. I feel like Winfield could have been a big league starter if the paradigm of baseball management at that time had been where it is now. I feel like you guys would have gotten more run as doing the opposite thing.
I think you're right. I in high school, we go back to Pop Brown real quick. He was a scout. He does some work for the Orioles. And I got a call right before I was drafted by the Mariners in the 6th round, and the Orioles going to take me in the 7th round as a center fielder. And he goes, hey, we're going to take you in the 7th round as center fielder if you don't get taken by then. And then a couple picks later, the Mariners took me as a pitcher. So that could have been a possibility.
Wow. Well, Chopper, this one's worth 2 points, so they can still catch you. Who did he strike out the most? Who did Mike Hampton strike out the most?
Well, we know it's not Vlad Guerrero. I'm eliminating that one.
Or Polanco. It's not
He got this guy 12 times. Just an elite center fielder.
An elite center fielder in that era. Torrey Hunter. No, he would have been in the American League. NL guy.
Elite
NL West guy.
It's an NL East center fielder for 2 points.
Elite center fielder, eh?
Atlanta Brave.
Not Andrew?
Andrew Jones.
No.
No.
Before Andrew, there was
to be McDowell. No.
Marquise Grissom?
Correct.
Ooh,
Marquise Grissom for 2 points. You got him 12 times. He did not like the strike to ball.
No, he did not.
Okay, this is for all the marbles right here. What pitcher struck Mike out the most as a batter? What pitcher?
Oh, I feel like it's got to be it's the opposite of what you think. Your quick twitchers, you would have handled the Ched boys. I feel like it's got to be someone who was soft.
I think you're right.
It's a Dodger.
Righty or lefty, coach?
Not from the United States.
Ramon Martinez.
Incorrect.
That was one of the Hideo Nomo.
We're getting closer.
Yeah.
South Korea.
Chan Ho Park?
Chan Ho Park.
Mike Hampton.
Mike Hampton. I forgot to write this number down, but I think it was maybe 6 strikeouts he got you.
Dang. That's
carved you up.
What was
Chan Ho Park?
Yeah.
Mike, what was the pitch?
I got to see if I got some
What did he get you
eligibility left. I got to go back. Where's he pitching? I know he's pitching somewhere.
Chano's still in the game.
He's got to be still in the game. That dude was in shape.
Mike, what was the pitch? What would he have got you on? Because he's just kind of a straight fastball.
Honestly, inside. Had to be something in. Like probably fastballs in and then sliders away. I didn't like the ball in. I like the ball out over the plate. So that's why I stood in the on deck circle when I swung. I don't know if you see I'm barely in the box, but everybody, I knew they were going to throw that first pitch heater away, and I was going to be smoking in the box.
You clipped Wade Miller twice. You got him twice for 2 dingers.
Yeah.
What count did he hit the most bombs?
Mike?
I had to be early.
Ambush. Correct.
I had to be early.
Yeah.
I got the best trivia I can probably give you for hitting wise is my first major league hit off of Fernando Valenzuela.
Get out of here.
And for my career, I was 4 for 4 off of Fernando Valenzuela.
That's legit.
But I know he had 2 hits off me too because he could rake. So he gave it back to me. But he gave me my very first hit. He gets it. They throw the ball back to him, and he was a character. I didn't know. They threw him the ball, and he puts it in his head and shakes it. He's like, "Oh, that's fine." And they keep yelling at him. He's like, "It's fine." And then just messed with it. He finally throws it over. But he's a great sport. But yeah, I was like, that's probably one of my coolest moments, like Fernando Valenzuela, man. That to get your first hit off of that guy, I was pretty happy with that.
Man,
Oh
well,
my gosh.
I knew this would be a great conversation. Thanks for spending some time with us, Mike. Just um, uh, a 17-year career in the bigs where you are respected by every teammate you ever had. It's an honor to have you on the pod. Just thank you for being here. Thank you for asking questions, wanting to become a better dad and a better coach in your own right. Guys, I'll let you say your goodbyes to Mike as well.
Unbelievable. Appreciate you, dude. It's great. Good luck to you. Good luck to your family. Yeah, dude. Amazing. Really appreciate it.
This is like I don't know what you call that when something you don't ever anticipate is going to happen for you in your life is happening. I so appreciate the years you gave to Houston as an Astros fan. And thank you for being so generous as a man and as a coach and a teacher with us, with young people in general. What an honor, man. This has just been fantastic.
Yeah. Thanks so much. I appreciate you, Mike. I'll leave you with this. I can hear Flicky getting a little emotional there. It reminded me of we were in Detroit doing a sandlot together, coaching kids, and Kirk Gibson, your favorite player, was there, and Flicky got to share a story. I think it's worth sharing here now. What did you say to Gibby that day, Flick?
Well, I was sitting. My dad was a disabled Vietnam veteran, and so he didn't get to enjoy a lot of the things that we're getting to enjoy with our own kids and coaching. But I was sitting there next to him watching that game against the A's when Eck inexplicably throws that 3-2 slider and when Gibby had no chance against the fastball that whole at bat. But when that ball left his bat, and my dad turned and looked at me, and it was just one of those moments where I got to see him for one moment. He wasn't in pain. He was in full joy, a child. And so I just got to say thank you to him for that moment. And
Another goosebump moment, Coach.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
no
that'll
doubt.
give you goosebumps. And
That's
yeah,
powerful.
have you gotten to chat with him or become friends with him, Mike, at all?
Yeah, so towards the end of my career, when I pitched a little bit with the Diamondbacks, he
Yeah.
was our manager, and I
There you
told him,
go.
I said, "You're my favorite player," and he's like, "Why?" I just had
Oh,
to mention that. But just a great. I just love the way he played the game. I remember him sliding into second, just going all out in a spring training game, and I was like, "That dude's giving everything he has in spring training. Like that's how I want to play." So he just set a great example for guys in my mindset.
I love it.
I want to say thank you to you guys too. The messages, the stuff that you send out is super important. The more information, the more people we have doing it the right way, sending the positive and the right message. The younger they are, the more giving this positive messages. I think you do a fantastic job. I've been a fan of yours for quite a while. I'm glad we connected. I'm glad you read one of my posts that I was just kind of praising you for the things you do too. So I appreciate you guys. And what you are doing is very impactful and very meaningful. So thank you.
Man, oh man. Well, I give you a character salute, bicep salute, vulnerability salute for sharing that. I mean, I feel like breakdancing right now in my Hawaiian shirt. So, Mike, you can log off. We'll end the pod, the three of us, but we'll get this out next week, and man, we'll do it again.
That sounds great. Looking forward to it.
Boy.
Have a great night.
Boy. See you, Mike. Wow. Boys, what do you think of that? Huh? I love to recap these dealios. What stands out with Mike Hampton there, Chad Chop?
Man, high compete, wouldn't back down from anybody. Preparation is where he got his confidence. Self-talk. I love that he brought that up. That's a huge one. He had a lot of coaches that impacted him in a positive way. And so his dad was a huge influence. A great interview. I mean, golly, that's got to be up there. That's top 2 or 3 all time.
Sneaky great. Yeah. Sneaky great, sneaky handsome. Let's be honest. Mike Hampton. The words I jotted down: Dad, compete. Jeff Bagwell, Smoltz, Lenny Harris, accountability. Pop Brown, kindness, positivity, honesty, self-evaluation. Lou Pinella, uh, and just throw strikes. I wrote that down. Flick Money, what do you got?
I mean, yeah, my inner when I quit when baseball ended for me, Mike Hampton is the first memory that I have pitching for
Hmm.
those Astros teams, late 90s. That kind of reconnected me to that joy again. I got back into being a fan because I was a wounded player, still trying to reckon with this is over for me. And so, that when he goes 22-4 for the Astros and they make a great run, man, that was like I was like a little kid. So it was really beautiful for me to get to have this experience and share this conversation with him. What I will take from it is he is such you can tell the humility as a lifelong learner. He's not only was a great player, he's also coached at the big league level. He's been a minor league coach. He has every reason to believe he knows everything there is to know. And what's he doing? He's asking us questions. He's hungry to get better. And it's just so encouraging that's what part of what being a man at all stages of life is about is humility and staying hungry for learning and for improvement. It's inspiring.
It's good, man. Really, really good one. Some of these episodes, they just creep up on you and you're like, man, that was one of the best. I can think of a Hunter Pence episode, an Xavier Scruggs. Just wow, that hit you in a great way. So you'll enjoy this one. We'll get it out in due time, and we'll keep rolling. Even when me and Flicky hit the road, I'll bring my laptop and we'll find a Starbucks together and we'll do this thing with Chopper, and we got some guests lined up. The more the merrier. So I love you boys. I'm thankful for you. Today was extra inspiring. I think I'm gonna call Gibby. I've been thinking about him, and I'm not sure how well he's doing with his health. I heard he's having a rough patch, so I'm going to call him today. Just make sure he knows that we chatted about him today with Mike Hampton, his former player, and um, we'll see you next week, boys.
Bang.
When I wake up in the morning and the alarm goes out, I want it. I don't think I'll ever make it on time.
Bang
About the
bang,
time I grab my books and I give myself a look at the corner just in time to see the bus
bus
fly
fly
by.
by.
It's all right, 'cause we're saved by the bell.
AC Slater.
It doesn't get any better than this.